Friend, welcome to this wondrous moment. You may have come with some expectation, perhaps hoping to find some methods or techniques to achieve enlightenment. How wonderful that sounds! How you long to become transcendent, empty, sacred, and great. But I must first tell you one thing, you are destined to be disappointed. Because in true spiritual awareness, no method can lead to enlightenment, much less call you an enlightened person. In fact, I want to tell you that this very concept is an elaborate illusion. There will be no true enlightenment while you are still alive, and when enlightenment truly occurs, you also disappear. This is not a paradox, but the most irrefutable truth of existence itself. Many people will back down at the beginning, thinking I am too bold, crazy, and heretical. Indeed, my words are full of challenges to tradition and rebellion against existing ideas. And they may not be suitable for everyone. If you'd like to sit down and have some tea, I'd be happy to share some seemingly absurd but profoundly meaningful stories and metaphors. Sometimes, truth isn't meant to be understood, but to be felt, shaken, and awakened. I don't know who I am may sound like a pessimistic and dejected statement. But it could be the beginning of a spiritual journey. Most people have never seriously considered who they are, or perhaps they think they already know. They might say, I am a father, I am a mother. I am an engineer, I am a writer. These roles, labels, and identities take turns appearing in your life. Are you sure they define you? If they are everything, then what are you when all these roles are stripped away? However, you might be even more puzzled when I say you don't exist at all. Let's put aside the conceptual question of identity for now and listen to an old Zen story. A Zen master asked his disciple, "Do you know where you are?" The disciple replied, "I am right here, in front of you." The Zen master then asked, "And who are you?" The disciple was bewildered. "I am me," he said. The Zen master smiled and said, "Then can you show me me?" The disciple was speechless. Usually, when we talk about me, we are simply piecing together a series of conceptual memories, like photographs or films. Integrating past experiences and labels to create an illusion of me. But in reality, this information cannot prove the existence of a real, unchanging me. They are more like files in an operating system, seemingly capable of executing various programs, but ultimately not the computer itself. One day you delete these files. And what is left of me? In Zen, this is called no self, or more precisely, no self does not deny your existence, but rather points out that me is inherently unattainable. This is not pessimism or nihilism, it is simply an objective fact. When you truly search for me, you cannot find any entity. Stepping into the spiritual world, you'll find it teeming with miraculous courses, 7 methods for rapid enlightenment and swift awakening. As if enlightenment were a commodity you could simply pick up in a supermarket and slap on a price tag. Many masters, gurus, and teachers tirelessly promote their golden rules, telling you that simply following them will break through delusion and bring you enlightenment. But if enlightenment could be obtained through methods, through money, following certain rules, or obeying certain authorities, it might seem comforting, but it's also laughable. True enlightenment isn't about acquiring a new trait, it's about disappearing in an instant, leaving only pure awareness. It's like trying to buy a wave from the ocean. Ridiculous, isn't it? The wave itself is part of the ocean. You can't cut it, bottle it, and take it home. Similarly, you can't truly achieve enlightenment because awareness is already the foundation of your life, merely obscured by various thoughts and concepts. Meditation isn't about doing. It's the art of not doing. In non-action, you truly experience that you are originally a silent sky, and all thoughts and emotions are just passing clouds. If someone tells you that following their steps will immediately lead you to the other side of enlightenment, you might as well laugh it off or participate in that game. Perhaps after experiencing some storms, you will eventually see more clearly that any method is a challenge. How to use the brain to surpass the brain. In fact, enlightenment is not something the brain can achieve. It is the manifestation of emptiness when the brain relinquishes all effort and obediently withdraws. Don't take the whole thing too seriously. Many people think enlightenment is a solemn matter, with a solemn expression, as if once enlightened, one must learn to grow a beard, sit cross-legged at all times, and never smile. But if you look at many truly enlightened beings, they often have the most spiritual eyes and often radiate childlike smiles. Why? Because at the moment of seeing the truth, you will find that everything is so absurd, yet so beautiful. Imagine a scenario where you believe you are on a desert island, having to carefully prepare food and water, worrying about storms and tsunamis, and constantly longing to return to the mainland. You struggle, build a raft, and set up distress signals. One day you suddenly realize that you were never on a deserted island, but always standing on land. Your first reaction might be to laugh, because the predicament you were trying so hard to escape never existed. This is the laughter of enlightenment. You finally see through all of life's suffering and anxiety, which stem from an illusion. You think you have a self that needs to be proven, saved, and burdened. But when you truly see through this illusion, it's like an elephant being lifted off your shoulders, incredibly light. This laughter carries no evil, no worldly sarcasm, but a purity, clarity, compassion, and mercy. Because you finally understand that everyone's struggles are just dancing in the shadows. We often say to live in the present, that the present is the most precious thing. But why is living in the present so difficult? It's actually very simple. Your mind is constantly recalling the past or fantasizing about the future, always making you miss the present moment. Your mind is like an old man habitually looking back and forth, forever dwelling on things from 20 years ago or fantasizing about 20 years from now. As a result, all you truly possess is the present moment, yet it is repeatedly ignored. A Taoist master once told his student, "You don't need to worry about the past or the future. Just stand firmly on your feet in the present moment." But the student was confused. "What about my mind?" he asked. "It always wanders off somewhere, like a wild horse." The master laughed and said, "Who told you to let that horse run free? Being mindful isn't about fighting your thoughts, but about quietly watching them play out. The more forcefully you try to stop them, the more they wreak havoc. If you maintain a relaxed and humorous attitude, they may naturally disappear without a trace." Living in the present moment is the simplest yet most difficult thing in the world. It's simple because it's a fact, and difficult because the mind refuses to accept it. The mind will use all sorts of excuses to pull you back into a pile of calculations, worries, and fantasies, making the present moment merely a glimmer of light in your life. But precisely because of this, every experience of truly living in the present moment is like suddenly returning home. Reaching out and touching your true self, that nameless, formless, and selfless home, yet consciously existing. Some might say, "But my religion tells me to pray sincerely, cultivate diligently, and repent to God and Buddha. That's the right path." I don't want to refute any religious belief, but I want to raise a question. Are you truly embodying the inner essence of faith? Or are you merely following external systems, hoping to exchange for a good outcome? Like some people who fear hell and pray desperately. Or others who hope for wealth in the next life and make offerings diligently in this one. Is this genuine piety or a transaction with ulterior motives? The focus of spirituality isn't how many times you strike the wooden fish or recite scriptures, but whether you've truly awakened to the fact that all external actions are the gaze of inner awareness. Of course, these can help calm the mind, and mantras can stabilize attention. These can be helpful aids. But if you become deeply involved and it becomes a transactional mindset, then it loses its true meaning. Worse, you might turn practice or faith into a form of self-discipline and self-aggrandizement, believing yourself to be superior, more sacred, or even looking down on those who don't practice. In that case, it's nothing more than a cleverly disguised game of self-crowned self-aggrandizement. If your practice doesn't bring you more peace and joy, then you've merely completed a series of steps. Once you leave the temple or church, what's the point of being anxious, suffering, and angry if you're still restless and in pain? I'd like to share another parable with you, which might offer a new understanding of the relationship between enlightenment and the idea that you originally had nothing. One quiet night, a fox was searching for food in the forest. He was thirsty and came to a stream. Just then, the moon was reflected in the water, its bright light illuminating the entire stream. The fox looked at the moon's reflection and exclaimed, "Ah! Such a beautiful white round cake. It must be a treat fallen from heaven." He tried desperately to scoop up the cake, but each time he licked it, he only felt the cool water. Undeterred, he tried several more times, but the cake remained elusive. The fox thought, perhaps my posture is wrong, maybe I'm not using enough force, maybe I need a bamboo pole, he thought. So he spent a lot of time making a bamboo pole and practicing his skills, trying to catch the round cake. But every time the water was stirred, the round cake would break into pieces of light. When the water calmed down again, the round cake would reappear. Later, the fox was exhausted and curled up on the shore, panting. Just when he was about to give up in despair, he noticed a bright full moon hanging in the night sky above him. He suddenly realized that what he had been trying to catch was just the reflection of the moon. The fox looked at the moon in the sky and smiled happily. Then he ran away as if nothing had happened. This story is like our pursuit of enlightenment. You think there's something sacred you can obtain, but that's merely a reflection of the moon in your heart. The true moon always hangs high in the sky of your soul. It has never disappeared nor left. You think you've lost it, so you try various methods to retrieve it, only to discover in the end that you've mistaken the reflection for reality from the very beginning. But when I say there's no conclusion, it's actually an open invitation. I don't intend to give you a complete theory or a final definition, because any theory can become a new prison for the mind. True spiritual awakening is about quality. It's not a quantitative change, but a transformation. It's not about accumulating more concepts, but a leap in an instant, shedding all concepts. You think you're trapped in a problem, but you don't realize you are the problem. You think you need to work hard to find the answer, but once you truly calm down, the problem itself quietly disappears, and the answer is nothing more than a passing breeze. When you lose myself, it's like a feather suddenly falling to the ground without any burden. That's not giving up on life. On the contrary, you are your true self for the first time. You will be surprised to find that in everyday life, a flower is a world, a leaf is a Buddha, and any seemingly insignificant thing. Everything is filled with the gifts of life. When you eat, you are always eating. When you sleep, you are always sleeping. When you talk to someone, you truly listen attentively, without judgment or distraction. This way of living may sound ordinary, but it contains the deepest Zen wisdom and joy. I keep saying you, yet I also say you don't exist. This might confuse your mind. It's a paradox in itself. Language can only express so much. It fragments reality into concepts, making you believe they truly exist. In fact, when I use the word you, I'm simply trying to communicate with you, but on a deeper level, what I mean You are merely a fluid phenomenon within consciousness. My job is to shake you awake from your dream, even if you initially curse and accuse me. If these words offend you, making you so angry that you close your book or turn off the screen, that's fine. Perhaps you really need that period of anger to see how much attachment and defensiveness you possess. Ultimately, you may realize that all the anger, dissatisfaction, and doubt are just the ego's final struggle. It fears disappearing, so it resists, it protects itself, like a little mouse cornered against a wall. The real question is, are you ready to accept this awakening? It may make you no longer have those grand self-plans of the past. You will no longer feel that you have to become a great person to have value, nor will you care about superficial praise or criticism, because it's all just your fantasy game. You are clearly aware that success, failure, glory, and humiliation are all in the waves of the ocean, coming and going, and cannot fundamentally change the ocean itself. But once you let go, life will be easier, but you may also lose many seemingly important ambitions because you suddenly realize that they are not really important. Instead, you begin to enjoy the present moment, possessing a softer heart, deeper empathy, and even greater compassion. You may live more freely and happily because you've lost your egocentrism. This makes those around you who depend on you and project various expectations onto you feel uneasy. They think you've changed, or even that you've gone crazy, because you no longer fit their script. If you've read this far, you may already vaguely feel some resonance or resistance. Either reaction is something to be happy about because it means you're in the process of waking up. Waking up isn't always pleasant, it can also be frightening, like someone being woken up by an alarm clock, initially annoyed, and then realizing, oh my God, I should get up. Freedom is the ultimate value of spirituality, but freedom is also accompanied by fear, because you can no longer push responsibility away. Nor can you let others decide everything for you. You begin to discover that life has always been a story of self-creation. And when you are truly in a state of selflessness and being in the present moment, all your ridiculous struggles suddenly vanish, leaving only tranquility and love. Finally, let me return to the title of this article. You cannot become an enlightened person because you do not exist. This statement can terrify you or liberate you, depending on your mindset and preparation. If you firmly believe that you are the center of the universe, this statement will break you down. But if you are just about to let go and put things down, then it will be like a cool spring, nourishing your thirsty soul. Remember, do not make enlightenment your goal, or you will be forever bound by it. Do not use methods to seek awakening, or you will get lost in them. Do not try to prove your existence or non-existence, because true experience is the only way to transcend concepts. If you truly want to experience the truth that transcends everything, sit quietly in the emptiness within yourself, watching all your thoughts rise and fall, but without giving them any judgment or energy. Let everything happen naturally, without control or rejection. At some point, you may find that the you once knew has disappeared, leaving only the vibrant present moment beating within you. That is true life itself. May these simple and absurd words plant a seed of awareness in your heart. No matter what situation you are in now, remember that you were not originally bound or imprisoned. Those so-called walls are all self-woven illusions. When they suddenly settle, you will be like a bird spreading its wings, freely flying in the sky. You will even exclaim to yourself, I knew how to fly all along, but I had forgotten.